Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or it's 2 a.m. Go to bed already. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. Joining with me again, we managed to make sure he got out of the van this time, Mr. Regret the Van. How are you doing today?
Tired. I got run over by a wheel.
Have you tried not getting run over by a wheel?
I tried that. It didn't work well.
You should try harder next time. Just don't do that. Getting run over is bad by anything. Whether it be a wheel, a squirrel, a bird, or a train. It just doesn't end well. Ever.
And I was run over by my cat multiple times already today, so...
Alright, last week we talked about En Masse Entertainment's little debacle that was still hot and heavy with its Terra community. A week has now passed, in fact over a week. We're now on day 9? No, this would be day 10 of the fiasco. And there has been a lot of information that has come to light, including some stuff I wasn't even aware of. While the Terra proxy system is at the base of it, this is a third-party tool that allows those with high latency to still play the game as normal, rather than desync and have severe problems trying to keep up. And this is, of course, due to the fact that Terra has been, since the dawn of time, an extremely unstable game. But where this whole thing starts with third-party add-on tools was, in fact, with DPS meters. That actually is, in fact, at the core and heart of this all.
A DPS meter.
Specifically 4 different ones.
Okay.
Bluehole Studios, which is the game developer who first made Terra, said from the get-go, in Korean, that they never wanted a DPS meter on their game. En Masse, who is the North American publisher, really since the dawn of Terra North America, didn't care. And in fact, people are able to produce screenshots of En Masse GMs saying they didn't care about DPS meters as long as DPS meter results weren't wielded like a weapon to demoralize other players. Which then brings me to really this MMO Bomb article that is a very nice summary of everything that happened. The actual incident occurred on April 26th. Before then, April 25th, En Masse didn't care. They have never publicly stated anything. A few GMs have said they never care, just do whatever you want. And so the various developers for these various DPS meters continued on their way, including the DPS meters that use Terra proxy. April 26th hit, and that is when the bans came down. And again, not just regular account bans, but IP bans as well. April 26th and 27th, they were very do not ever talk about this ever again with the community, which then got the community extremely angry. Now, April 28th rolled around, and MMO Bomb is saying that, okay, En Masse is now talking about. Basically, what En Masse talking about it means is that they're answering questions to the press and allowing people to post in one thread about this in off-topic. and then ignore...
Not exactly talking as one would think.
And then they ignore the thread.
Of course.
In fact, you can look through the questions that MMOBomb has talked about, and it's mostly talking about how there was an exploit found by injecting improper data through using Terra proxy. It's basically what it boils down to. They say it in a much more vague manner, but that's pretty much what it's talking about. It's talking about injection-style attacks using Terra proxy.
Okay, so it sounds like Terra proxy needs to be patched.
Here's the thing. Mishu, the actual developer of Terra proxy, was not even aware of these problems. By the time he found out about these problems, that's when the banhammer came down on him.
Right, so he was never even given an opportunity to fix the problem. It was suddenly, there's a problem, terrible accident, you're banned.
But here's the other thing. The way the injection attacks were being done, and this might not be the most accurate way to describe them, but basically, a lot of the thinking on an MMO is done by the server. The client does some of the thinking, but then it has to sync up with the server to then make sure everything is kosher. So it's say, you want to move forward 10 spaces, the server then confirms you move forward 10 spaces, make sure there's nothing in the way, and then says, okay, you can move forward 10 spaces. And the same thing with attacking and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Attackers were using Terra proxy to bypass the client's ability to confirm, and instead feeding false data to the server and allowing things that are normally not possible by the game.
Okay, so now it actually makes sense them reducing the use of Terra proxy, because, okay, well, I'm now going to just pretty much one-hit kill this raid boss and then just take all their shit, because screw you, I'm the only one that gets it, because I'm the one that found this exploit in the Terra proxy.
Here's the real question to ask, though. Why is the server not double-checking that?
The only reason I could think of is that if they're already having problems with latency, having the server essentially doing any sort of error checking just adds that little bit more latency.
The problem actually...
Basic CRC.
The problem, what I can tell with Terra, though, is the fact that it does let the client do too much of the work. That's where a lot of its problems seem to be. Because if the client does too much work and then it connects to the server and then it doesn't seem kosher to the server, then that's where the desyncing happens. The server and the client should be moving forward in progression as one. That's where a lot of this problem is happening, which requires Terra proxy in the first place. No matter how I look at this all could have been easily solved on Bluehole Studios' side in regards to development of the game and the server. Now, we don't have any records of what NMAS Entertainment and Bluehole Studios says to each other, which is unfortunate. Because there's for the longest time, fans of the game have just been kind of throwing their hands up in frustration, trying to figure out, okay, well, now what? But instead, NMAS's opinion here is just, sudden, out of nowhere, blindside bans. And the killer thing is that they're still not apologizing for this. They still sucker punched tons of people for using either for using Terra Proxy to make the game playable, or for using a DPS meter. That's where I see a lot of these problems. Is the fact that a lot of this seems to be just more evidence of just problems that they've had on the server side of things. And whether it be NMAS Entertainment or Bluehole, most of it being Bluehole's problem, it just continues to be ignored. And in fact, now this week, NMAS releases their, 10th anniversary, I think, of the game. They released that event, and I don't think it's actually that high. I can't remember exactly. I can't remember what it is now that I think about it. I'm pretty sure it's not 10. Regardless, the anniversary of the game is up, and they're still going, yeah, we still don't care about you guys and us basically blindsiding you with our sudden rule enforcement. I mean, it'd basically be the equivalent of the cops aggressively beating down people for jaywalking after not enforcing the law for years.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty apt analogy. I was coming up with something more like, pretty much setting your house on fire when you found spiders in it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted an analogy that really captured the real feeling of what the community really is feeling with this sudden rule enforcement. That's the best I could do right now.
Yeah.
And then, to even top that off, the actual anniversary event is only free stuff when you buy from their cash shop. That's it.
Right. Kind of makes me think someone wasn't quite thinking there, but I'm just gonna take a quick gander. Actually, I'm just like thinking about this, and it's like NMAS's recent actions. Okay, yeah, you have that they found an exploit in the server through Terra Proxy, so got to get rid of Terra Proxy. But I've never heard a developer or a publisher going so far into alienating their own customer base, except one other studio or publisher, and that's EA. EA is a publicly traded company. So I'm wondering if NMAS is also publicly traded, in which case most of their behavior would be suddenly completely explainable as, well, you don't want to protect the players because screw the players, you want to protect the investors.
Here's the thing. NMAS, first off, I don't think NMAS actually is publicly traded. Even EA, I can't imagine... Like, EA's done a lot of shady practices in the past. I can't think of one time EA has actively went to such lengths to stop something from happening in any of their games after allowing it for 90% of the game's life. It's not the fact
that you do raise that good point. It's like, well, EA hasn't pulled this. So this is actually the first time that studios actually that somebody's actually done something that went, no, 180 and not told people to knock it off.
And that's the key thing about this. It's not the fact that it's done. Oh, hey, look, another publisher went and doesn't like third-party tools. What a surprise. That's not the news. The news is the fact that it's such a sucker punch. Like being whaled in the face with a crowbar. That's the real thing. And the best part is that the community does feel incredibly ostracized right now, except for the casuals. The casuals don't even know what's happening. They just think that there's a lot of cheaters going right now yelling because NMAS is enforcing a rule. They don't know. That's actually the whole purpose of this sort of thing, is to bring to the light that no, this isn't right. And here's my best part, actually, of all the questions that MMO Bomb asked them in Eames' answer. That's the very last one.
Okay.
Actually, the two last ones. Can you roughly tell us how many players were impacted by the wave of bans? Eames says less than a dozen individuals overall were directly hit with this ban.
Right.
From people who have publicly come out and said they were banned, we've counted at least 26.
Okay, that's publicly banned. That they've announced that there's always going to be a fudge factor with this, that the actual number may be higher because some people.
Here's the thing: they said how many. No, this wasn't how many people were publicly banned. Can you tell us roughly how many players were impacted by this wave of bans? Eames says less than a dozen. Just the ones that have come out publicly, Eames' number is inaccurate. Now, of course, you don't know. There could just be people trying to just jump on the bandwagon. You never know. The one that really gets me, and this is the one that really gets me, is actually just the first line of Eames' last answer. Mob Crush MMO Bomb asks, do you have any plans to implement any of the functionality in the official game that players were using third-party programs for? If not, could there be a way to have approved apps created by third parties that wouldn't result in a ban? Now, that's actually a very good question that MMO Bomb asks.
Yeah, especially in this current situation, that is a very valid question to ask.
The first sentence Eames says is, we are constantly listening to player feedback in order to find new ways to improve Terra.
Then if you were actually listening, this entire thing wouldn't have happened, because you would have realized, hey, we're having potential latency issues that a third-party application has come up. That third party could be subverted. Let's just simply take care of the latency issues, or attempt to resolve them.
I don't know how the representative could say that with a straight face after 72 hours straight of silencing anyone publicly on their forums, and even in their game, and even on their Twitch stream, for wanting to provide feedback. Granted, some of it being very aggressive feedback about this very issue. And with that, I think we'll move on here.
Well, there's a comic then that I need to find. This is fine in the burning room. Because this is actually a very apt description of what that PR person just pulled.
What, there's no room burning behind me?
No, I'm sitting in the middle of this roaring inferno going, this is fine, everything's okay.
Yeah.
We're listening to the players.
Totally listening. The room is definitely not on fire.
Yeah, so...
In any case, we're gonna move on to actually probably one of the bigger stories. This actually affects a lot more people. Not just being an example of how not to treat other people. Alright, so I covered 2 weeks ago the Twitch affiliate agreement. Now, unfortunately, there was a clause that I missed. And I feel a lot of shame for missing this one, because it was exactly the clause I was looking for. And that is the live content exclusivity clause. A lot of people knew that this sort of clause was in Twitch partners contracts, despite the fact that nobody knows anyone's Twitch partners contracts, but pretty much everyone knows that this clause exists. And this is the clause that, I'm going to spare you the legalese, but basically means that any sort of live content that you produce on Twitch exclusively can only be viewed on Twitch for a period up to 24 hours following the initial broadcast of such live content. In short, this means if you're a streamer and you're using Restream.io to simulcast your content to other providers, and you're a Twitch affiliate, you are in breach of contract.
Yeah. Me and another member on the Discord server were actually discussing this, and of the sort of exclusivity clause, this is actually not terrible.
No, it's not.
Because after the 24-hour period, the content rights fall back to the content creator. This also means that within that 24 hours, Twitch is very limited as to what they can do with it, just simply due to time.
Yeah.
The best that they can do with it is promotional materials.
Basically. And Twitch has done that in the past, where you've seen it all the time on their Twitter feed, that if something really hilarious happened on a partnered stream, they'd show a clip of it and say, "Hey, go check out this guy to get." And they do that all the time. Such ones that popped in my head. There was an Overwatch streamer that got really lucky with a Widowmaker jump shot and managed to get a headshot while falling.
Yeah, I can see where Twitch would go, "Hey, promotional on that," because it brings in the viewers, even if they aren't signed into Twitch or even have an account. It's just that the ad revenue generated from them being there will make pretty much make Twitch money.
Yeah, it's also this also exists so that you couldn't sue Twitch for putting ads on your live stream content. There's that as well. To a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I see all the time, anytime you talk about the moment that you don't actually own the content you're producing. And this is going to be the question I know is going to be asked. If it's not already been asked in the chat, I don't see it yet. But the question is going to be asked: can you still post the recordings of your streams on YouTube and collect ad money on it on YouTube if you stream on Twitch?
The answer that I seem to, since the clause doesn't seem to actually, after all, it's like
the answer would be yes.
Yeah, yes. After the 24-hour period expires, all rights return to the content creator. The content creator can then do whatever they please with the content.
Exactly. And the reason I bring that up is because every time this comes up, and this comes up as well whenever stuff goes on YouTube as well, and you're a YouTube partner or whatever status with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That comes up all the time as well there. Although with YouTube it's more complicated because they actually own the rights of it the entire time, and they just pay you a cut of what they make, and a whole lot of other mumbo jumbo, which of course I don't have the legalese in front of me.
Yeah, legalese is...
It is a cruel mistress, and unfortunately I need to go back to legalese 101 and get a refresher course.
Yeah.
You would have thought after my dealings with the IRS I would have been pretty fluent in legalese, but I've gotten rusty.
Well, okay, tax legalese and content ownership legalese are two separate things.
They share a common language, though. That's the thing.
They do share a common language, but yeah, you can get lost. Like, you wouldn't go to a tax lawyer for copyright stuffs.
I'm now imagining some twerp going into an H&R Block and asking that guy, how much money does PewDiePie make? And that's just...
Right.
I want a stopwatch to see how quickly that kid would get kicked out. So yeah.
Door, start walking, and don't let it hit you on the way out.
All right. So how does this affect? How does this affect myself? Because I am in fact a Twitch streamer who has been simulcasting for a very long time, and for a very long time I mean like what, 80% of the time. Well, this does mean that all simulcasting has to stop, which it already has. And in my case, it means almost nothing. In the grand scheme of things, 90% of my viewership comes from Twitch. The remaining 10% came from every other outlet I simulcasted on. Unless you count that one time that Unjust Banana went and gamed the system over at Hitbox. We had 40 viewers over there. And it was all Unjust Banana. Because they don't know what they're doing over there, apparently.
Okay, so that was... So that was Unjust Banana finding a loophole.
Yeah, that was Unjust Banana finding a loophole. And not a very hard one to find, either. He just had 40 tabs open.
Oof.
That's it.
Ouch.
Now, I understand why Twitch includes this clause, but at the same time, I've brought in quite a few people from other outlets, specifically to Twitch, just to check out the content here and also to gain the benefits of, in my case, Revlobot. I can think of quite a few regulars. Derpy Dragonair is the first one that comes to mind. And I am blanking on every other name off the top of my head because I am terrible. I think Mini Lego Man as well was also from YouTube initially. I mean, that's new viewership that's now lost.
Yeah, and pretty much the reason this clause is thrown in there is, and this was a discussion. This was more from the discussion on the Discord server. Was it's pure capitalism at its finest?
Yeah, yes and no. Because, I mean, even in the world, let's take broadcasting outside of Twitch. Let's take it outside of this emerging market known as video game streaming that very few fully comprehend the ins and outs of what it means in the grand scheme of things. there are still plenty of outlets that someone creates a single network just for the sole purpose of distributing his or her content through hundreds of different stations. And then those people make literal tons of money. But then at the same time, there are people who reserve the right to have exclusive rights to be the only one to broadcast that content. Actually, no, disregard that, because this is just going to get into the mess that is the media monopolies. Never mind.
Yep. No,
because each one is an affiliate to one of the 7 major ones, or are they now down to 5?
I think it was 5, but it might be 7. Either way.
For all I know, it's just all controlled by the Chocobo Media Corporation, and it's just all a sham. Everything's owned by Sesame Street, we just don't realize it yet. So I guess actually back down to video games for me, it's hard to say whether the exclusivity portion of it, and it's just Twitch trying to keep a hold onto the content providers they have, rather than not letting simulcasting happening and just all of a sudden, oh hey look, I became big on
YouTube or some other service.
I'm trying to think of a live streaming service that would be relevant. I guess YouTube would be the next closest one.
Yeah.
I think.
Now, I am going to point out that in the case of my streams, I am not a Twitch affiliated partner or anything like that.
Correct.
Which pretty much means that I still own all of the content rights to the material I make, and I can do whatever I want with it for the time being.
True. You could, in fact, simulcast.
Yep, which also means that I do lose out on some of the benefits that being an affiliate has.
All those sweet bits. But that's pretty much it. If you are, in fact, someone who... the only one I can think of off the top of my head that is, in fact, that actually does let you simulcast, the only one I can think of it is Restream.io. If you do use it, and you're a Twitch affiliate, your contract can be terminated, and then you'd be out your affiliate status. And then any money you would have generated from bits, you'd owe potentially 100% of that back to Twitch. You wouldn't owe anything, it's just that you couldn't check it out. You couldn't redeem it. That also means that if you do post your content elsewhere, you have to wait a day or two. Probably safer to wait too. On the other hand, this isn't really a clause that's being really like closely monitored with a magnifying glass. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just something to be aware of, and just don't push your luck. If you're using Restream.io, it's time to stop. And with that, we move on to the next thing, where we have to look at another big corporation and say, it's time to stop.
Microsoft.
Windows
10
Microsoft announces basically a version of Windows 10 that nobody liked. I could go over the messy details as to what Windows 10 S actually is, but here's the short form of it. Do you remember Windows 8 RE?
No, I don't remember Windows 8 RT.
I'm sorry, RT, not RE.
Yeah, but...
So... If you remember Windows 8 RT, it's basically Windows 8 RT. If you don't remember Windows 8 RT, basically it means that it's Windows 10 that you are restricted as to what you can install to be only things from the Windows Store. You cannot sideload applications. Now, in the world of iOS and Android, this is not a big deal. You really do want to go through the main store. In Windows, on the other hand, sideloading is love, sideloading is life.
Yeah. I was reading through this, and it's going, okay, what they're aiming it for is not the broad market.
No.
They're aiming it for a very narrow portion of the market, of very low-end machinery, and the educational market, which would benefit from a locked-down version of Windows.
Here's the problem. Now, one other detail I'm going to put in is the fact that you can upgrade Windows 10 S to Windows 10 Pro for $50. At any time, you can unlock the full version of Windows. Here is the problem. Microsoft says that the sole purpose is to be on low-cost education machines, as Regret said. What is stopping anyone from limiting to just those type of devices?
Pretty much that was never mentioned, and that was one of the things that's like, well, it says it's coming out for these, and all these partners are signing on to it. So, if I go and get a new Dell, because I'm going to kick Dell here, and I
Dell,
pay,
the gold standard of mediocrity.
and say I'm going to buy one of their high-end machines, and we'll say I've coughed up $1,200 for this machine, which for a Dell that would be quite a bit. So I'd be looking at a fairly high-end Dell.
Yeah.
And I saw this Windows 10 S on it. I'd be pretty annoyed because I'm expecting it's like, well, I've just paid over $1,000 for this machine. I shouldn't be having this stripped down version of the operating system. I should have the full thing.
Well, here's how things went down with Windows 8 RT. RT pretty much only ended up on devices that were sub 400. And going back to Dell, actually, one of the things I loved about Dell tablets 2012, they had a lot of little 7 and 10-inch tablets that were between $200 and $400 that ran Intel Atoms and ran full Windows 8.
Okay.
This actually provided a lot of interesting flexibility, especially since these tablets also had Bluetooth, as well as a micro SD slot. Well, suddenly you could have a Doom machine in your pocket.
Yeah.
You could go fire up and play some old classics. You could play RO. You could play Command and Conquer on it. It's a cute little thing. That's going to be gone now, unless you want to shell out another $50 to unlock a real operating system. Because every single one of those devices, whether it's intended for education or not, is going to have Windows 10 S on it to keep costs down. Now, fortunately, if you're going for, say, the $700, the $800, or the $1,000 little thin and light, like, say, this guy I'm holding right here, a Dell Latitude 12-inch laptop, this is most likely going to ship with Windows 10 on it, full version. Because much like RT, the moment news gets out that there's a light version of Windows out there, everyone's going to avoid it like the plague and only get it when it's absolutely necessary. That's why RT died.
Mm-hmm.
Only a complete moron of a manufacturer would dare to put a stripped down Windows 10 like this on a machine that was over $800. Unless your name is Microsoft, then you're actually going to do it. Which then brings me to this next thing that they put out.
Yeah. Now I'm actually going to point something out with the Windows 10s, and I could actually think of another possible spot.
Okay, go on.
Windows 10s. Elderly people, or I should say computer illiterate. Being such a lockdown environment, the chances of them accidentally bumbling into something and causing a complete disaster of the machine is reduced. They're pretty much putting them in their own little sandbox. But even then,
you want me to poke a hole in that?
Because let me put my own hole in it first.
Do it.
Is that I'm already dubious of that idea, as I've met some computer illiterate people that even when you put them into their own little sandbox, they manage to break it.
Let me tell you an exercise. Let's put you through an exercise and show you why your plan has flaws in it.
Alright, let's go.
One question I can do it with.
Alright.
What is the default browser on Windows 10s?
It defaults to Edge, which isn't perfect, I understand that.
What is the number one most commonly targeted browser right now for vulnerabilities?
That would be Edge. And you sunk my,
I sunk your battleship.
You sunk my battleship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some benefits to Windows 10s, but it is in fact mostly for the low-cost market and just to have some... Like, the key thing is the fact that it does have a copy of Minecraft Education on it and a subscription to Microsoft Office on it. So, I mean, for my boss that refuses to look at technology, I could shove a cheap Windows 10s device at him and say, okay, here you go. Now go make your spreadsheets. Go business harder. You can't screw this up. And then watch him in a week screw this up.
Yeah, I could also see this being used ironically, at my workplace, where IT insists that thin clients that are running Windows 2000 are better than actual computers.
To answer some questions in chat... there never was a Windows 9. They skipped Windows 8, and they went Windows 8 straight to Windows 10.
Yeah,
there's a lot of theories for why Microsoft has never come out and said exactly why. They just said, we're just doing it. Deal with it.
There was actually a theory that someone came up with that.
I know there's a lot of theories. We're gonna skip those theories and move on, because otherwise we are gonna spend 7 hours as to why there's no Windows 9. Well, you can go start your own podcast that's gonna last 1,000 episodes, 1 hour each, as to why there's no Windows 9. There was an 8.1, which again adds to the theory, which we're not gonna touch. Because we have to go to bed at some point.
No, Microsoft can count to 9. Apparently 9 comes before 8. And
what did I just say about us not touching this? What did I just say? What's a better investment, a Kindle Fire or a Toshiba tablet? I'm gonna go with neither. Hold on to your money. And get something more functional. I'll tell you what's also not a good investment. The new Microsoft Surface laptop that was announced.
Running 10s.
So, this thing is a beautifully milled out of solid aluminum laptop. And this is, in fact, a full-fledged laptop. It is not a make-believe tablet laptop hybrid like the Surface Book is, with the weird hinge and doesn't close fully. It is, in fact, a 13.5-inch laptop. 2256 by 1504 pixel resolution at the slightly odd aspect ratio of 3:2. But I'll look over that detail for the moment. Equipped with either a Kaby Lake-based Intel Core i5 or Core i7. I haven't gotten any details about which, whether it's ultra-low voltage or not in the Core i5 or Core i7, so I don't know how the performance is going to be there. But it is going to be Intel HD graphics or Intel Iris Plus graphics for the GPU. There's no option for a discrete GPU. The memory either of 4, 8, or 16 gigs of RAM. A front-facing 720p web camera. We have speakers with Dolby Audio Premium. One full-size USB 3.0 mini USB port, mini display port, headphone jack, and, quote, Surface Connect, an ambient light sensor, 14.5 hours of battery life use, 3-pound laptop, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, the detail that stands out the most, hands down, like a sore thumb, is the fact that this starts at $1,000. But beyond that, it is also, as Regret said, the fact that this piece of machinery that may or may not be a carbon copy of Apple runs on Windows 10s.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at this thing going, it's like, it looks so much like a MacBook. I would not be surprised seeing one of these things out in the wild and double taking it as I go, oh, it's just another MacBook, and then seeing the Windows icon on the back of it.
The exterior does look almost exactly like a MacBook. Not the MacBook Air, the MacBook. The only difference is that the base is sloped inwards, so it has a bit of a hole going on there. But the interior is coated in this, like, strange felt material, so it kinda... Like, they have a picture here on PC of the laptop. It looks exactly like one of the Surface tablets with that keyboard cover. It looks exactly like it. The thing that's puzzling to me is the fact that, yes, this is much more affordable than the Surface Book. The Surface Book was comically overpriced. But this is just... no!
However, I'm going to point something out.
Please.
For the price you're getting, you get an Apple look-alike laptop that is actually more functional than the Apple laptop. Even with Windows 10s.
Do you know what else is?
A normal laptop.
I have over in my bedroom right now a used Dell workstation I just bought for $250. That is more functional than this. And you're gonna go, okay, you went, oh, come on, Eagle. You went and got a used laptop from your secret dark laptop network and all that jazz. Alright, fine. I can do better than this and be on the new market. The Razer Blade Stealth.
Okay. Let's take a look at this laptop.
$1,000, 12-inch laptop, two USB ports, Thunderbolt 3 port. It's ultra low voltage processor, so are these guys more than likely. 8 gigs of RAM with the capability to hook up to an external GPU. Complete with all the lights you'd ever want on the keyboard. Assuming you're into that sort of thing.
The riciness.
Yeah. There is that element to it.
Because I'm just looking through this and going, oh god, the rice.
Yeah, this is Razer. Welcome to Razer. But that's the thing! Even with the light gimmick, it is still a better investment than this!
Normally, I will start crying when like a Wacom tablet is RGBized.
Oh, did you see the last article I had on the list?
Which one? The PCP or the Qualcomm Apple?
Oh no. It was talking about the guide to make sure your entire rig on the inside glows.
Oh.
Because I know how much you love that. So,
Okay.
Back to the point. I know quite a few people who are hunting down a good, well-versed, all-around laptop. They tried to look at the Surface Book, and are just like, oh, that's too high. There was rumors swirling about this laptop. It's like, oh, hey, look, Microsoft's going to put out something like the Surface Book, but cheaper. Thank God. Well, they did.
And you got this.
They certainly did. And it's still... There's only one laptop I can think of off the top of my head that this is a better buy than. The only laptop this is better to buy is the Apple MacBook. The current brand new Apple MacBook running on Core M. That is the only thing that's worse to buy than this. It's like right now, as far as like bottom tier laptops to buy, it's Apple MacBook, Microsoft Surface laptop, and then MacBook Air. That's like your bottom three right there. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head what would take slot 4. Probably some atrocious trash heap that Acer put out.
Probably.
But I can't think of what would be off the top of my head. And with that, we're going to move off of laptops. I'm instead going to finish off today with what's the right way to start into this? While us over here in the game streaming community is talking about the various this and that's as far as video streaming involving contracts, Facebook has been having a very interesting controversy involving live streaming. If you've been paying attention to the news, there has been people either trying to commit suicide or people trying to kill each other live on Facebook.
Yep, and just another reason why, well, yes, I do have a Facebook account. I have not even touched it in who knows how long.
Oh, I haven't been touching mine either for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
So at least
one more on the list of Facebook is terrible. You shouldn't use Facebook.
Yeah, there is that. I still stand firmly with the status of Facebook somehow has the magical ability to bring out the worst in humanity. Stay off Facebook and your life will be happier. I know mine is. Despite the fact I just spent, 55 minutes bashing on various things in technology. Though I'm not sure if I really bashed on the Twitch affiliate program, really. That felt more neutral to me.
Yeah, no, we really didn't bash that one because, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't deserve to be bashed. Unlike NMAS and Microsoft.
Well, Microsoft had it coming.
Yeah, they had it coming.
I'm sorry, they did. Microsoft probably had it coming the most out of this. At least in Facebook's defense, they are hiring 3,000 new people with the sole purpose of being moderators and shutting down live feeds the moment it turns out they're doing something terrible. This is something that pretty much every other live streaming service, including Twitch, has already had going on for a long time. Although I've never heard of anyone trying to do anything illegal with Twitch live streaming. I'm sure there has been.
Yeah,
Just like I can't think of one that's happened on YouTube, but there's gotta be one that someone's done something absolutely terrible and illegal on YouTube as well.
I could think of stuff, events that have occurred that were put onto YouTube and were of questionable legality.
Oh, we're talking about live, though.
Live? Oh, well,
And that's the thing. We're focusing on live comment. Anyone can come up and just find... Anyone can just put, like, okay, you have to go through a buffer and approval system for anything that's pre-produced.
yeah.
But live, it's there. You can't exactly censor something live. At least unless you voluntarily censor it. So, we'll see if this, if the 3,000 new jobs that Facebook has literally just created for the sole purpose of censoring people trying to kill each other on Facebook Live is going to help at all. Time will tell, but I'll tell you this much. Still not going back to Facebook. I just can't. That's really about it. Alright, so what we have here in the chat comments. Eagle can downgrade anything that's on topic of what he's talking about. I can upgrade or downgrade anything. I mean, yeah, today's episode is definitely more on the negative side. There's other days where you have something that's like, hey, this is actually a lot neater. Like, I could be talking about the pros and cons of making your entire motherboard completely lit up like the night sky. That's gonna do it for me, guys. You can find me at twitch.tv/eagle_falcon. You can find Regret the Van at twitch.tv/eagle, or regret_the_van. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.